So this today's live is with Miss Malini. Malini is basically a digital influencer, TV host. She's been in radio. She's written a book, a best-selling book. So yeah, pretty excited to host her for today's episode. And let's. If you've got any questions for me or for Malini, just put them in the comment section, and we'll take all your questions there, and then we can move ahead. So we'll welcome Malini. How was it? I mean, because you were an Indian kid growing up in all the foreign countries, at Lebanon, Greece, and all of those areas. Was it difficult getting to the Indian culture? Was it difficult getting again settled to the Indian
Not
culture?
really,
Or
because my parents always made sure we, knew all about our culture. My mom made sure I learned how to read and write in Hindi.
all
We used
right,
to celebrate all the, Indian festivals. We watched every single Bollywood movie ever made growing up. So we were quite
all right,
connected to everything here. We used to come back and visit family every year. So I think my parents did a good job of feeling, keeping us connected with
all right.
our roots. I've always felt 100% Indian. I've never felt like I'm from somewhere else. So
Wow,
it was not never hard to adjust.
awesome. So I was reading about your journey, and it said that at a certain point in your journey, you were juggling with two things. One was a 9 to 5 job, and then you started doing radio, which was after your job, from 12 o'clock at midnight to 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
So, firstly, how did you manage this? Because this sounds very hectic. This sounds very too much on the plate
Yeah.
if I can mention. So, how did you manage this? Were you always a multitasker, or was it difficult getting used to both two things together?
I think I've always been a multitasker and I really loved it. I definitely don't think I had a social life at all because I had just moved to Bombay. And
Okay,
so MTV was in Tardeo and my radio station was very close by. So it
right.
was just like literally in the same, like 2 kilometer radius, everything was there. And I really enjoyed it, but I used to like work from like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at MTV. Then I would go home and take a break and then go to the radio station around 11 p.m. And do my show called The Graveyard Shift because when you're new on radio, they make you do those hours where not that many people are
Okay,
listening. But then I
all
did
right,
radio for 9 years, and then after that, I worked at Win 94.6, and I became the drive time host for Go 92.5. I had a show called Horn OK Please, which I love doing. So I really enjoyed it, and I always recommend to people do more than one job. That's the only way you'll really figure out what you like to do and what you're good at.
awesome, awesome. All right. You graduated. So, about your story, you graduated from Maitri College, DU. And so, were you always a writer? Because when I was reading about your story, it said that you wrote a book eventually. So during college, were you always a writer, or did you take this up after college and you thought that let's take this up? What
I
was
think
it like?
I've always loved to write, and but when I was growing up, I wanted to be a VJ because that was the cool career
Okay,
when I
right,
was
right,
in
right.
college, and
Now the cool career is influencer. Everybody wants to become an
influencers.
influencer. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So at that time, I didn't know whether I would continue writing, but I always loved to write. So I used to do it sort of as a hobby. And then when
right.
I moved to Bombay, I ended up working at MTV and working, as a copywriter initially.
Okay,
So then I guess from there it just continued and I've really loved it. And you end up doing a lot of writing even when you're on radio, of course, the blog.
right.
There's a lot of scripting involved in radio as well. So
So, how did Miss Malini happen? I was reading and it said that you started Miss Malini in 2008, if I'm not wrong. So, how did
2008,
Miss
yeah.
Malini come on board? You said that you started this as a hobby. So, when did you make it full time? When did you shift to full time? And how do you plan to monetize it? Talk us about the Miss Malini journey, like from the start to what it is now.
So I think the key is that I never started it as a business. I did it for
Right,
fun
right, as
and
a
it was a
hobby.
hobby
Yeah,
and which
hobby.
is why I
Right,
never sort of went with the think that okay, I need to make money off of it. It was never a business. There was no such concept of blogging or being an influencer. There was no word like influencer in
right, right, right.
2008. But I really
Correct.
loved doing it and I moved to Channel V and I was the digital content head. I was still doing my radio show. I was writing my column in
Right.
midday. But I started doing the blog literally as a hobby because a friend said, I was saying that, in my column in midday, I don't get to write enough. There isn't enough space. So he said, why don't you start a
Okay.
blog? And I was like, what's a
Okay.
blog? I started writing the blog and I was so amazed how
Okay.
quickly there was a response to it because I don't think anyone else was really doing it here. And then I remember
Mm-hmm.
in 2010, I'd already met my business partner, Mike Melly, and my
Okay.
CEO, who's now my CEO, and my husband, Nashad, was in business school. He was at Harvard Business School at the time. And he came back and
Okay.
he was
Wow.
working in finance. And I said, I really want to do this. And he said, okay, fine, why don't you do it? And I was not making any money. So he said, okay, I'll support us for the year. And let's see what happens. And there was no looking back. I was just planning to try it for a year. That's why I always tell people, have a time frame when you're going to give something a shot. So
Okay.
it's not indefinite. And it worked out. So I think the key thing for me running the business was that it wasn't started with this stress of making money. I had other jobs
Okay.
that paid the
All
bills.
right.
And this
All
way I
right.
could focus on making this genuine and authentic.
So at what point did you think that, okay, fine, this is something that I'm doing. This is a hobby right now, but I see a lot of scope in it. And now I can shift to it full time. And now I can actually monetize. That's what people say, follow your passion. When you can follow your passion, do what you love, and then make money out of it eventually. So you knew that you were good
I
at
think
it.
it was in 2000. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was 2010 where we decided to do it full time, and that's where we got some seed funding, and we decided to make it less of a personal blog and more, digital magazine about Bollywood fashion,
right,
lifestyle, beauty. And
right.
then the business plan comes into place, and you figure out some analytics, and you figure out some targets, and then you figure out the brands that are interested. It was slow going because people were not at all investing in social media or digital marketing at that time. So
Right,
we were
right.
some of the first few people that they started doing things with, and then they realized. And now, of course, it's part of every brand's plan to do something on social media.
So there was this funny incident that happened with Abhishek Bachchan when you met him. He thought that you were this funny anime
Anime.
character on TV. So what was it? Did he not know that you're actually a human being? What was the thing like?
So my blog used to have this little animated character, the Miss Malini
Yeah,
logo.
yeah,
So a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
people thought that Miss Malini doesn't exist and it's just an animated character.
Okay, okay, okay.
So when we met, I mean, he was half joking. I'm sure he knew, but he was like, I always thought you were this animated
Anime
character.
character,
So
yeah.
it's pretty funny. Yeah.
All right, all right. So let's come to the entrepreneurship part of things. You when you started Miss Malini, then you took it full time, and now you're completely working on Miss Malini Entertainment. So that's awesome. I think you're doing some fantastic work with Miss Malini
Thank you.
Entertainment. So kudos to that. With regard to your entrepreneurship, I think you mentioned in one of the interviews I was reading on the internet, it said that you mentioned that you always thought, why do people start their own companies rather why don't they work in big companies rather than start their own companies? And now that
Yeah.
you're yourself an entrepreneur, how's that change in mentality now?
Completely
Are you
changed. I
like,
always used to
yeah,
wonder. Yeah, now it's like I think once you start your own company, you can never go back. It's incredible feeling. It's a lot of
right,
work because so many people are dependent on you now.
right,
And before you were sort of a free agent, you did what you wanted, and then you would try to sneak off work and do those things. Now you see the reverse happening.
huh, right.
But yeah, I think I really value it now. I see the difference, and I think that I highly recommend entrepreneurship. It's not easy, but for someone who, has a belief and an idea that they want to pursue, do it. I highly recommend it.
From a team of two initially to now more than 70, uh, how do you manage people is my question, because I don't have a big team now. I have like seven to eight people working for me. There are around 8 to 10 people in my team now. But and I know the importance of managing people. Even if it's like 3 people, you need to manage people, and managing people is an art. So how do you now manage more than 70 people, or what's the management like?
So luckily, I have two business partners, Mike and Nashad, so I don't have to do everything myself. I'm more the creative director. I think the key to managing people is empowering them to make their own decisions. So you have key people
Okay,
in middle management, and then they have their own teams. So you set some targets for them, especially during social distancing. You have regular meetings. So we have like a Monday meeting and then midweek as well.
right,
And you set some goals, and everyone needs to be aligned. The key is to find the right people who have your same values and feelings about things, and then you create a company culture that allows people to function that way, especially when you're working in the industry that we are. There's a lot more freedom. There's a lot of people who are, they're not doing it just for
right.
the money. They're doing it because they're passionate about it. So my key is I always try to find people, and the first thing I ask them in an interview is, what is your dream? I'm living mine. What's yours? And
Okay,
try to give them a job that leads them on the path to getting where they want to get eventually, because they will automatically work harder, and then they
right,
will be more excited about what they're doing. And you're actually helping someone. At the end of the day, it's not just about you making money or you being successful. Your
Correct.
success is also how many other you've lifted up.
Right. So, what's your hiring process like? Like, how do you hire people?
I can usually tell within 5 minutes if they're meant
If they're
for the
interested,
company or
yeah.
not. Yeah.
Right.
I think
Correct.
like, initially when I hired people, I literally hired my first few writers off Twitter. I was looking for Bollywood writers and I wanted
All
creators
right.
to be people who are also the consumers. So I found the people
Okay.
on that platform. I think for me, the
Okay.
key is somebody has to be a good person. You
Okay.
can teach people a lot of skills. You can't teach them kindness and empathy. So
Right.
that's kind of
Right.
key for me. I
Right.
90% of my workforce is women. It's not on purpose. It just so happened they were the right people for the job. But I'm really happy that they are.
90%.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Awesome.
yeah. It makes me very happy. And I think that for us, it's really the right people for the job. Again, there's no such thing as not my job. So people do everything.
Right.
I've
Right.
done everything. And I think
Right.
it's important for even leaders to know, the job of the person who is most junior in their department, because that's the only way you'll be able to manage people and earn their respect. So
Right.
I think that's kind of key for me. And I think for me, it's kind of unorthodox. I will just meet them and know in 5 minutes and ask them these two questions
Right.
and see how it goes.
Coming to the interview part of it, because you've taken a lot of interviews, and we've seen you take interviews almost everywhere on TV and live and everywhere. So, what's your favorite interview you've taken so far?
There's so many. I have such great memories. I think Shah Rukh Khan is always amazing to interview.
Wow.
Amitabh
Yeah.
Bachchan was a great one to do. And I remember I'd gone to interview Amitabh Bachchan, and my father used to study in Allahabad University
Okay.
under his father. And he was a very good student. So he had a
Wow.
handwritten note from Harivansh Rai Bachchan saying he's a great student. And I'd taken it with me to give it to Amitabh Bachchan to sign. And I was doing
Uh,
a Facebook Live with him. And I remember starting,
okay.
and he was promoting the movie Pink. So he's wearing these pink sunglasses. And
Right.
he was like, I was like, hey guys, I'm here with Amitabh Bachchan. And he's like, stop. Why did you say hey guys and not hey girls? And I was so stressed out.
Wow.
But after that, I
Yes.
showed him this letter and he softened and he was like, wow, can I keep this? And I'm going to ask all the people who have ever gotten a letter from my father to send it to me and I'm going to make a book. So that's a
Right.
great memory I have.
So there's one question that we're getting by Madhusmita, and she's asking, what are the digital skills that any young student needs to know?
Oh, hi, Jessica, by the way, my friend's watching. Digital skills, I think now, especially with the coronavirus and after the lockdown, somebody who has multiple skills is going to be very valuable because obviously the job market is going to be tough. But if you're someone who is aware of how to do social media, but also understands the analytics behind it, also is comfortable and familiar, well versed in various different platforms, especially the newer ones. People are always looking for graphic designers, video editors, because a lot of people have to do their own video editing now. So those are
Right.
the kind of skills I would recommend. I think the key is to not get bogged down by older platforms. I think now it's about newer platforms, but keep ahead of the curve and watch the trends. And I think the next big thing is going to be community over regular social media or just straight up influencers. I think that's what's
Absolutely.
going to happen with, especially after the lockdown, people are going to look for their tribes in a sense.
So, firstly, how did you, if you had fear of public speaking, how did you come over it? And secondly, what do you recommend to people who are watching this, if about regarding public speaking or communication skills? How can one improve their communication skills?
I still have crippling stage fright. I hate public speaking, although I have to do a lot of it. It makes me very nervous. I think a lot of people feel very insecure on stage, and I totally resonate with that, and I get that.
Right.
I'm not very good at this, but the best thing to do is practice, and rehearse so you'll be confident. I have trouble doing that because I have, a short attention span, and I prefer to speak
Right.
off the cuff. But one thing that has helped me is practicing is having someone else on stage ask you questions. That almost always
Okay.
helps.
Yes.
And then I joke that whenever I'm going to go speak, I always have two friends wearing positive, moral support T-shirts and sitting in the front
Okay.
row. So
Okay.
somebody
Okay.
is always smiling at you. But practice is really the best solution.
Wow. That's something different that I've heard. All right. So let's talk about Malini's Girl Tribe. Firstly, what was the inspiration behind starting Malini Girl Tribe? If you could tell us about what exactly is Malini Girl Tribe. I read about it. I have some idea of Malini Girl Tribe, but for the people who are watching, if you could tell what Malini Girl Tribe is all about.
So basically, right now it's a group on Facebook called Malini's Girl Tribe. It's also on Instagram as at Malini's Girl Tribe. It's a community for women, which I started kind of by accident because Facebook was just launching groups. And I was thinking, what kind of group should I make? And I decided to make a Girl Tribe group, and I added 100 girls. And now there's 40,000. And what I find really incredible is that they're able to be so honest, and they share so much more than you would normally on social media, because you can get a lot of trolling otherwise. And if you ask any girl, her DMs are filled with lots of nonsense, and I'm sure you've seen what's happening.
Yeah.
Things like the
Yeah.
boys' locker room. So I feel like it's really required, and it's incredible because there's such high engagement, and we talk about everything. It's not women's issues per se, because everything is a women's issue. So lots of fun, different things. It's just a great way for women to connect. So I highly recommend taking a look.
So can any woman join the group, or is there some kind of a restriction?
There's no
Anybody?
restriction. Any woman can join the group, and
Okay.
guys, you can join another group called Positive Masculinity.
So, is internet not a safe space right now, or what's it like? And how can this change? Because surely there's some problem with the mentality. Surely there's some problem with the mindset. So when will this change? How can we make internet a safer place for people?
So, I mean, I'm literally writing my second book on this topic. I think that the problem
Wow.
is that we were never taught how to use social media. We were just thrown into it. And it's
Right.
the equivalent of literally giving somebody car keys and not teaching them how to drive a car. So it's on us
Right.
to teach the next generation how to behave and what will help. I think the problem is that a larger problem, when you look at things like the boys' locker room, is the way women are treated in India because of the patriarchy. People are taught that women are less important than men. People
Right.
boys are taught, and they've seen violence in their with their parents, their fathers hitting their mothers. They're seeing, how it's completely acceptable, whether you're looking at pop culture, and nobody's explaining to them the difference. So there are lots of different layers to this issue. I think to make it a safer place, it's really important for everyone to really stop and think about what they're putting out on social media. Right now, it's a dumping ground for negative emotions.
Exactly.
There's no
exactly,
policing.
yeah.
There's no civic sense, virtual civic sense. So it comes down to, parenting as well, what you allow your children to be exposed to, how you allow them to behave. And I
Correct.
think that a lot of it is on governments as well to have some checks and more serious repercussions to the kind of things that happen. I think that there are now cases being filed. I'm not sure what's happening. I think there were some new developments about fake
Right,
accounts
right.
being used for the boys' locker room.
Right.
But I think this is not an independent incident. You see a lot of that. You see it's almost normalized that women's, social media is going to have really creepy DMs in it. In fact,
Right,
we did a
right.
video called Guys Read Creepy DMs. You should check it out. It's pretty funny, but also very poignant about
Right,
how women deal with this. I think it's a larger solution, and it's something that is not just for women to solve. I think it's for everyone. And I think the first step is calling someone out. If you see someone being misogynistic, you see someone being sexist or making that joke, as men, you also have to say, stop. That's not funny.
Exactly.
dude."
Exactly.
But I don't think that many people do that right now.
I think a lot of people treat this as a joke when people say that men will be men, and all
Yeah.
men are the same and all of that, because there's something that's a very serious problem. You cannot make fun of every topic whatsoever, and
Yeah.
an incident like a boys' locker room probably now it has surfaced, but there are a lot of there must be a lot of groups all still there. Right? So if you can actually, if Instagram or if Facebook, they give us an opportunity to connect, like I'm connecting to you, you can use this for good. You can use social media for good and not do all of that nonsense. One myth or one stereotype that you'd like to break about celebrity blogging or about your work life. So just one myth or stereotype that you'd like to break.
My life is not perfect. You might see a curation of the perfect pictures online because that's a selection I make, and I try to be more honest about it. But there's no such thing as the perfect life. So please don't have FOMO about my life, because I also have FOMO about other people's lives.
Right.
Accept that social media is not reflective of everybody's complete life.
All right. Awesome. Two lessons entrepreneurship has taught you. The last and final question. 2 lessons or 3 lessons entrepreneurship has taught you.
You must have patience. And the other one is that
Yeah.
investors invest in people, not in businesses. So make sure that your personality shines through and your passion shines through when you're pitching a business.
Awesome. All right. So thank you so much, Malini, for joining in. It was a fun
Thanks for having
chat.
me. It was
We
great talking to you.
spoke about so many things. As much as I want the interview to go on for a long time, because you don't know how time goes by when you speak with a like-minded person. But thank you so much for joining in, Malini. It was a pleasure
Thanks.
speaking to you, knowing about your journey.
Nice talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.